Hello fellow cyborgs, today I'm going to wrap up my Blackoweenathon. Blackoweenathon was a month-long read-along back in October, hosted by Brief and a number of other amazing hosts. The challenge was to read thriller, mystery, and horror books all written by Black authors, and I'm going to tell you about the books that I was able to read in order from least to most enjoyed. And there was only one that I disliked, the rest of them were pretty good. My least enjoyed read was Just Wanna Testify by Pearl Clegg. I gave this 2.5 stars. Mostly it was just not my genre. It seemed very general fiction, kind of romancy in how it was written. This was number 5 in the series, and it did feel like number 5, not that I couldn't follow the plot, but that the characters were so well known among themselves that we didn't really get any in-depth development or explanation of who they are. The writing style was not my jam. There were moments where it was like, Melanie, who likes to get up at 9 a.m. and do meditations every day to clear her mind, walked through the restaurant to order blah, 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 blah. Just was not my jam. There was a supernatural element. It has to deal with vampires, but the climax was very saccharine, and it was just not great. So I gave that 2.5 stars, and I will not be reading any more in that series. Next, let's talk about Blood Magic by Liselle Sambury. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I enjoyed aspects of it. The whole premise of this, I don't think I talked about it in my TBR, is that we have a young woman who is coming into her witch powers. In order to attain these powers, she has to go through a trial set by one of her ancestors, and the trial that she is set with is she needs to destroy her first love, but she has not fallen in love with anybody. My problem with this is that I know the main character is 16 or something like that, and it is very, very well established that she has issues with decision making, but she was annoying. The decisions she made, a lot of the times when she did make spur of the moment decisions, they were reckless and not well thought through. So I wasn't 100% on board with her and what would happen to her. I did love the queer representation. There was trans rep and I think it was demisexual rep, if I remember correctly. And there was also lesbian representation, I believe. So that was cool, seamlessly weaved in through the plot. This was also set in the future, like the near future, but that was a really neat element of setting a fantasy in a near future setting. There was also beautiful discussions about delicious food. It was great. The sense of family was awesome. I liked how most of the characters were built up and how they related to one another, but it was just too long and the main character did not carry the book well for me. So I gave that one 3 stars. So the next one I'm going to talk about is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oinkon Braithwaite. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, and the main reason it didn't get more is that it was so short. I wanted more. I was listening to it on audiobook and then it was just done. It felt, as I was listening to it, like we were setting up these themes that were going to be deconstructed more. I wanted more of the main character's background and learning how she came to be in these situations with her sister, who is, we think, a serial killer. I also wanted more about her relationship with her coworker, who she's been into, and how her sister being into him impacts their relationship, but it was over so quickly. I did enjoy the ending, and I would read more by Braithwaite, but I was caught off guard by the book being over. So 3.5 stars, I enjoyed it. I would probably read it again knowing that it's like this little tidbit of a thing, and I would read more by that author. Next, I want to talk about The Between by Tananarive Due. I ended up giving this 3.75 stars. I loved the writing style. The character development was detailed. It was retrospective. I loved how the whole plot of this plays with, is this really happening to me, or am I losing my mind? That is one of my favorite tropes in books, so that was great. Though I feel like that trope was a little oversaturated, like to the point where I was kind of like, okay, I would like less ambiguity at this point, please. And what this book turns into is seeing this man spiral into behavior that is unsafe and disorganized. There was too much in this book that could just be reality, where stuff happens to good people and their life gets turned upside down. I wanted some more believability to the alternate explanation. Because the middle got very real and very upsetting, it slowed it down a lot. I took a huge break in the middle of this, but eventually I did finish it, and I am looking forward to reading more by Du because I like her characterization, I like her writing style, I like the themes that were in here. It was just very heavy. I don't know if I would ever want to reread it anytime in the near future, but it's staying on my shelves for the time being. 3.75 stars. My favorite read of the month was Rise of the Jumbies by Tracy Baptiste. This is a middle grade book set in an unnamed island, but I think it's Trinidad, and it is following a main character. This is the second book in the series, and she needs help from Mama Jlo because there are children who keep disappearing near sources of water on her island. So she bargains with Mama Jlo to go on this sort of quest to get this jewel back for Mama, and then Mama will help her with the disappearing children. There are beautifully detailed, wonderful descriptions of mermaids. They're like, the entire book is this main character and her friends traveling across the oceans with these beautiful mermaids, and the 12-year-old inside of me just loved every moment of it. I love the character dynamics. I love the audiobook version of these. I have not read the physical book. The narrator, whose name I do not remember, is great. I liked the mystery. I especially loved the mermaids. This also ties into the African slave trade and the legends of mermaids in Black culture and the implications of that, which was sad and horrifying and beautiful and wonderful. And I really, really enjoyed it. 4 stars, 100% will be continuing with the series and will probably try anything that Baptiste comes out with because she is great. So overall, a fairly successful readathon. I really enjoyed participating and will probably be participating next year as well. Thank you to all the lovely hosts who hosted Blackoweenathon, and until next time, read some horror, thriller, mystery books by people of color, specifically Black people, and continue to be lovely.